Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show presented by the Craft Beer Nation. Tonight is Thursday, June 23rd, and we have very special guests with us tonight. We have Henry Schwartz, the CEO, and Andrew Gerzak, I hope I said his last name right, the Vice President and Head of Brewing Operations of MobCraft Beer. So this is going to be a lot of fun. These guys are doing it differently from everybody else. Totally different approach that seems to be nothing but fun. So be sure to stick around, hear what they're saying, hear where they are, where they're going. I'm excited about this one. So while the theme music is playing, I want to point you to our social media platforms. You can find us on Twitter at Craft Bee Nation. We're on Facebook at Craft Beer Nation. You can find us on Instagram at Craft Beer Nation. And, of course, you can find us on Google+. So, again, pour that beer in a glass, get comfortable, and come back and listen to this conversation that we're going to have with Mob Craft Beer. All right, so Mob Craft Beer tonight, it's definitely gearing up to be a good one because, like I said earlier in the intro, they do it differently from everyone else. So it's going to be awesome for people who haven't had a chance. If you haven't heard of MobCraft yet, you're going to be in for some goodness because, yeah. So we're joined tonight, panel, Gil Mello. Gil, how are you doing tonight, my man?
Awesome. Cheers, you guys. It's a nice day, warm, and a beer. I don't need anything else, man.
And life could certainly be worse, right?
Yes, life could certainly be. I only have first world problems right now, so that's good.
All right, and our guest of the hour or of the 30 minutes, our guest of the half hour, and Henry, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing well. Cheers for having me.
There you go, drinking the grapefruit goza.
Yeah, I know you said put it in a glass, but I got a can here.
Hey, you're a grown man. You do what you want to do. And Andrew, how are you doing? Andrew, I hope I didn't butcher your last name too bad, man, because you just
butchering my last name ever since I was a little kid. Don't worry about it. You won't be the first. You won't be the last.
You just told me how to say it, and then I forgot that fast. So
we still like you.
I appreciate it. I like you guys too. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. MobCraft. There's the name isn't just a name. There's a reason why you're named MobCraft. So let's get into, first of all, actually before we get into the name, how did you guys get into craft beer? What's your journey? When did you fall in love?
Oh man,
you go first.
Well, the first time that I ever made a fermented beverage, it was with this guy's twin brother, and we made a bunch of really, really bad wine. And
so there's two of him?
Then we made really bad wine again, and then we were like, let's make beer, and we made damn good beer. And it was kind of that was a win from there on when I liked brewing. I really found a passion for it. But before that, my mom, I grew up in Colorado, she let me have an old chub. And she said, this is happy beer. You can have one 14-year-old Henry. And so I did. And it was just, this awesome experience, way better than all the natty ice that I had been enjoying in high school. So,
cheers to Mom. Mom for the win.
Mom, yeah.
And Neil? Do you guys want the long version or the short version?
Hey, we got time. We got time.
So I guess the long short version is when I was in high school, my twin brother and I inherited my great-grandfather's still that he used to make moonshine during the Depression.
Wow.
We started using it, and that got me really interested. My family had a whole history of making wine and making beer. My grandfather made beer. He worked for Schlitz, actually, as a bottling line engineer back in the day. So it was kind of already there, and I was kind of primed for it. And then I studied microbiology in college, and that kind of primed me even more. And then I found out that I really liked working in industry, working at an ethanol plant. So that's kind of how I got there. And then I ended up working at Liney's for a couple of years too.
So Andrew, are you a Wisconsin native?
Yep.
Okay. And you guys are in Madison. Are you born and raised in Madison?
Milwaukee, actually.
Milwaukee. Okay. Cool. So you, Henry, you and Andrew's brother. Andrew, what's your brother's name?
Tony.
Okay. I don't want to call him Andrew's brother the whole time. So you and Tony brewed terrible wine, then you made great beer, and then you were like,
We didn't make great beer at first.
Okay, well, you made beer that was drinkable, right? Nobody died, right?
Yeah, nobody died.
And you said, I want to open a brewery.
Kind of. With a few steps in between there. So,
Okay.
like, Anthony and I made beer once or twice, and Andrew was just like 40 miles away from where me and his brother went to college. So he came down and brewed with us, and that's how we first met. Or maybe it was, we meet then, or did I lose your Halloween costume first?
No, this is definitely before the Halloween costume. So we
Okay.
met before that, making wine.
All right, well, then I lost
the
his
Harper
Halloween
House.
costume later. Yeah.
So then you were like, okay, we're gonna open this brewery. We got to come up with some recipes.
Yeah, the
You're like, well,
idea came from, so we were loving homebrewing, and before the brewery, I have always been kind of following my passions and turning them into businesses. In high school, I ran a skateboard and snowboard store because that's what I love to do. So it was kind of natural once I fell in love with beer that I wanted to make a business out of it. And at the time, I was at UW-Whitewater studying business, and I was in one of my professor's classes, and we did a case study on Threadless, which is a company out of Chicago that takes T-shirt designs, puts them online. Once 500 people agree to buy them, they'll do a limited shirt run and sell them all. So I thought that would be awesome if we could do this with beer, if we could crowdsource the ideas for beers and then brew a unique batch every month and ship it all over the U.S. So it was that idea for a business that really kind of kicked it off. We took this hobby of home brewing and turned it into running and proving a minimum viable product. Instead of just brewing beer for ourselves, we were taking ideas online, having people submit them to our really horrible website that we built in college. Then we'd homebrew that batch, the one that people voted on that was their favorite, and then we'd pass out all the homebrew bottles to our friends and family and a few random people, and see if they liked this whole idea of coming up with ideas for beers that we would brew. So once we found a little success in that, we decided to pursue it a little more and get all the permits to do some commercial production.
So when was your commercial production start? How long ago was that?
That was May of 13 was the first batch we did.
Okay.
So
I did want to show this, like, from the crowdsourced aspect. There's our logo right there. So on the left-hand side is the Mob. On the right-hand side is the Craft coming together to design these beers.
That's awesome. I love it.
That's pretty creative, yeah.
So the beer that you brew, is it so are you brewing like a mob source recipe or a public source recipe as one beer a month or something like that, or is all of your beer ideas that came from outside? Is it like a one tap at a time thing, or how does that happen?
Yep, we've got oh man, lots of motorcycles. Oh, it's the moped club driving outside. Those are some loud mopeds. Holy cow.
Those people who drive Vespas are gangsters, man. So
yeah. Anyways, we've got 4 different lines of beers. First off, the crowdsource line. So every month we make a new beer. People submit ideas to our website. Once those ideas have enough social clout that they've shared with their friends, we take the top 8 most socially viable or most socially popular ideas and build recipes for those. And then out of those recipes, people across the U.S. cast their vote by saying, I want this beer. If it wins, I want a 4-pack of Bombers shipped to my door, and that constitutes a vote. So for the first 3 weeks of each month, we're voting on a new beer that we're going to make. And that's ranged everywhere from, an idea of, I put salt on my grapefruit for breakfast, turn that into a beer, which Andrew goes like, oh, salty, grapefruit, Gosa, perfect, builds this awesome recipe for it, all the way to, like, we're doing Senior Bob right now, which is a imperial cream ale aged in tequila barrels. So a whole gamut. I mean, everything that you could imagine a super craft beer nerd wants to try that doesn't exist elsewhere. So from those crowdsourced recipes that people submit, people vote on, the ones that are everybody's favorites, we bring back as our either seasonal or flagship beers. So this Hop Goes won the voting round in April of 2014. People liked it. We brewed it all summer long. People liked it, wanted it back. We brewed it the next summer, and now it's one of our most popular beers that we make all the time.
Wow. So you guys are still, your distribution is still like into Wisconsin? Because I know Wisconsin has kind of some weird laws there for distribution. How's that working for you? I mean, your Mob, your Crowd, is that basically inside of your state right now?
No, we actually we work with online liquor stores. that ship the beer out, and they can ship to about 42 different states.
I was just about to ask you if you had encountered any problems because Gil lives in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is just crazy. And I mean, I've been knowing Gil now for Gil. How long have we known each other? Like, I don't know,
4 years.
4 years. And I still don't understand Pennsylvania laws. And I was like, surely you guys, you've encountered problems with people who live in PA trying to get beer to them. But I was going to give you the opportunity to plead the fifth on if you do send beer to Pennsylvania, how you do it. So you don't have to answer that question if you don't want.
Well, how we work is like in Wisconsin, we can sell beer directly to consumers. We can sell beer directly to retailers or through a distributor. So we only sell beer to people in Wisconsin, with the exception of Illinois. We have self-distribution permits to distribute beer into Illinois. And then one of the places that we sell to in Illinois is an online liquor store. So they're kind of that intermediary vendor, and they can ship the beer out to the end consumer.
Wow, so you guys got pretty crafty with that. No pun intended.
You come to the idea with this, like, oh, we want free commerce, I want to make a product and I want to sell it to whoever I want, but with alcohol laws being so obstructed, it is a very hard, difficult way for us to be able to do it. And we just got shut down by the Wisconsin Department of Revenue. They said this online liquor store can't ship beer back into Wisconsin. So as of like 2 weeks ago, nobody in Wisconsin can order our beer online.
Well, they can order it online, but they can't get it shipped to them. They have to
up.
pick it up in person.
Oh, I see.
So, and it's so weird that, when you look at it from a shipping alcohol standpoint, it's like, what's actually dangerous? All right, underage people getting beer, but FedEx has age-verified shipments. Wineries can ship beer or ship wine legally, but, breweries being like the poor man's drinks, left out of it, who would want to ship beer? So it's kind of just written out of the law.
So you can't sell beer outside of people picking it up at your spot to people in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
But okay, so what if your Illinois intermediary sold beer to people in Wisconsin?
That's the one that got shut down. The Department of Revenue was mad at us. They were mad at them.
Oh, haters.
So going back to the beers that you guys make, since we could talk about laws the whole night long. Each state is so weird. I mean, we've been debating on our show about beer laws for 4 years, and it's just nuts. But so what percentage of beers do you do that are mob related or submission, and what is your recipes? Because I see you holding can, but you said bottles as well, so you do both ways as well, right?
Yep. So all of our crowdsourced beers come out on draft or in 22-ounce bombers, and that's that once a month beer. If people really like it and they want it back, we bring it back. So that's why like the Hop Goes is now in cans, because we do all of our flagship products in cans. We also pull in some recipes of our own. If we want to do something like when spring came along, we wanted to brew a Maibach, so we brewed it was a little late for a Maibach, so we brewed a Helles with ginger.
Nice.
We just felt like we wanted to make that beer, so we did. Made a little small batch of it. Then we also do a barrel age program and a sour program. We've got about 160 barrels in our sour program.
No, like 100.
100. I was off by a little bit. 100 barrels in the sour program that are, anywhere from we'll start off with like a base Belgian or a base wheat beer, and then we'll do some blends. We'll fruit them occasionally. One of the ones we just released was 40% Belgian pale ale, 60% amber, and then we kind of threw a bunch of grape must on it, and that was a super tasty beer called Sour on the Vine. So I'm just doing, fun little small batch sour projects like that as well.
So right now, but you're planning to do like, I don't want to say real sours, but you told us before that you're planning to use more like a wild yeast on your facility as well.
Yeah. So the facility that we're in right now is our new brewery. It's not quite operational yet. We started construction in November, and we're probably going to shoot to open up next week, like a week from tomorrow. So we've been brewing kind of like little gypsy brewers at a couple different breweries where we have our fermenters and our bottling line over at another brewery, and we've been using their brew house. So in that facility, we couldn't do spontaneous ferments at all. So we were doing just lactic aging. So we were, inoculating barrels basically.
Do you guys use to can? Do you use a mobile canner?
Yep. But our canning line ships next Monday.
And
that's
so
exciting.
So this facility right here, how big of a brew house will it be?
It's a 30-barrel brew house.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good size.
Yeah.
And what about fermenters?
Fermenters are 60s.
We have
Okay.
260s, 130, and 215s.
Okay. So you guys got some space there. So what are you projecting your output to be for like the first?
There's
first
mash
year?
tun.
Well, with a third barrel, you can add so many fermenters before you need to go bigger. So that's a good.
Yeah.
Far away
place
from
to
Wi-Fi. We're looking at doing about 2,800 barrels next year.
Okay. I mean, you got plenty of room for expansion there, right? To Gil's, like Gil just said, you got a 30-barrel system. You can add fermenters and still go wide open on that 30-barrel system for a while.
Yep. I mean, we did about 600 barrels last year. So we think realistically, we can grow that to about. We've never had a tap room before, so this is the first time that's going to happen. So that's going to be a good amount of beer that we can push through that. But then thinking that we'll be able to hit around 2,800 next year, and then continue to grow from there. I mean, the 30-barrel brew house itself, that can kick out a lot of beer. So we're going to be here for a while. This is kind of our long-term home.
Okay. So going back to the beer, when your recipes come in, you source the the viability of it and the popularity of it. You pick a winner recipe. The people who they vote just right there on your website, and they commit to buying a 4-pack of Bombers right there on your website. And
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going to. Okay.
So you guys are actually in Madison? Is that where you guys?
We're in Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
We were formerly of Madison.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Is Madison and Milwaukee close? I know nothing about my Wisconsin.
Yeah, they're-
About 6 miles apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it
It's a good
60?
spot to be because that's 90 and 94 meet there, right?
Yep. You got it.
Yeah, Gil travels a lot out in that area, so he
And I'll be at MobCraft in September.
All right. Nice.
and so you'll be in time for you guys are you can talk about this a little more, but you guys are about to open up a new tap room, right?
Yeah. So we've it's gonna be super fun. We got 24 tap lines. We're gonna do. I think we got 17 of our beers that we've kind of stashed for the last few months, and then once we get up and running, probably have 4 or 5, 6 sour lines at any given time. A few guest taps, a few NA beverages. We'll try to make like a ginger beer, a root beer in house, a couple things like that. And then the tap room. Oh, go ahead.
No, you showed us that you said you're gonna have like 6 sour lines or whatever, and you gave us a quick little tour before we came on. So you guys, are you just gonna sour with like lacto, or are you gonna experience with a bunch of different
All
yeast
sorts
and
of shit.
mixture?
Yep.
Okay.
So Adam,
Blends.
Adam, who was our other brewer who had to leave like right before we started, unfortunately, we actually went to college together. Then he went out to California and brewed there for a few years and was doing a lot of really fun sour beers, a lot of bread IPAs, and that type of fun stuff. Open fermenters, doing a lot of stuff in fooders, a lot of barrel aging. So he joined our team with his fiancee Kayla, and she does all of a good chunk of our graphics. And then he's going to kind of run that barrel project.
Are there plans for a cool ship at any point in the future?
That would
yeah.
be a blast. So yeah, we've got the room for it for sure, sitting up on top of the barrels. I haven't really, done too much research into its actual feasibility though.
No, it's feasible.
Well, will it be feasible and good, or will it just be feasible? We'll see.
Andrew's like, I wouldn't have said it was feasible if it wasn't going to be good. It's like I'm involved. It will be good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the beer we had for New and Was that batshit crazy? Was that you guys who did it?
Yep.
Okay. See, I was trying to. I remember it was an interesting name, but you guys go a long way since we met a year and something ago. Yeah, it's about a year ago.
About a year ago, yeah, Savor.
Yeah.
So I had batshit crazy. I was thinking, I was like, I don't know if I've had any MobCraft beer. I'm sure I had some of your beer at Savor, but I just couldn't. Did you take batshit crazy to Savor last year, or was I lucky enough to stumble across batshit crazy from one of my friends?
I think we had a sour Belgian Duvel.
The one I had was the one you sent me, Randy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they paired it with like a Pop-Tart. We're like food and beer experience, batshit crazy and a Pop-Tart.
Savor was a lot of fun this year.
Because they didn't have what they were supposed to have.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Everybody else had like, this is duck liver mixed with the rarest crab from Earth, and we had a Pop-Tart.
Oh, it wasn't any Pop-Tart though, right? It was a good one.
It was mini tart.
It was an apple strudel with frosting on the top and sprinkles.
There you go.
No, that event was a lot of fun. I had a blast out there.
You guys got to try to come back, even if you aren't pouring. Just make plans to come to Savor as an attendee.
Yeah.
And have a blast. And we had so much fun this year. I know a lot of people were unhappy with it this year because there were so many small breweries that got in.
That's why we were happy.
Right. I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? I mean, the point of Savor is to showcase guys like MobCraft and to showcase a lot of these smaller breweries who don't know. I mean, why would it be such a big deal to have Stone there, right? I mean, I love Stone, but I can get Stone all day long, but I can't necessarily get Insight. I can't necessarily get, Crux. You know what I'm saying? There's some small breweries who are making really good beer that I can't normally get. And last year, MobCraft was fortunate enough to be there, and I mean, did you guys see any dividends as a result of being at Savor? Did you get to build some connections that you think you'll be able to build on in the future, maybe as far as collaborations or anything like that go?
Yep. Yeah, we got two breweries that were met and kind of went out with afterwards and hung out, had some good times, and talked about doing some collaboration beers. But then also just we interact a lot with our president of the Wisconsin Brewers Guild. And so he was out there, and we just, got to roam around with him one of the evenings and just kind of get to know each other a little bit better, and,
So cool. Is your beer available to people in like Hawaii and Alaska, or?
We can ship to Hawaii legally, but we just introduced flat rate shipping, and then the Hawaii side of shipping makes it like $50 to ship it out there. And our flat rate shipping was like $14, so that kind of an outlier.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we had to stick it to the lower 48.
Well, you know what? They get to live in paradise, so
it's a good trade. We have snow here, lots.
Right. They get to drink.
Negative 30 days, and
they get to drink their coconut water right from the coconut, so life could be worse for them. Right?
Yep.
So, go ahead, Gil.
No, I was just saying, Wisconsin is it's that was a time all you would remember is New Glarus, and you guys are there's so much more happening in Wisconsin right now. I think it's cool for a state to be kind of bursting with new breweries and stuff like that, because I think I'm trying to remember. I think I've been to at least 4 breweries in Wisconsin, and it's going to be 7 after this trip. But I think it's nice for a state. I think more breweries will kind of help the state, right, to bring out a little bit more of a knowledge about the craft in there.
Yeah.
So how do you feel in Wisconsin right now? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, this is why I love Wisconsin and Wisconsin beer. So way back in the day, the beer barons built breweries in Milwaukee and along the lakeshore because the water was awesome. And that's kind of where industry formed. So for breweries and tanneries, all of the industries that built valves and pipes and fittings and the malting companies, they clustered around where all the breweries were. So we're in this environment where like all of our suppliers are right down the road. All of our tank manufacturers, our malt suppliers, people who make all the gauges, all the water meters, all that stuff was built, around breweries when people were here in the, late 18, early 1900s. So we had this, awesome beer history. You look at Pabst Schlitz and, Heilemann and Miller being here, and all that knowledge that came out of it. There are a lot of brewers and a lot of, employees of small breweries around the area who came from those big breweries. And then we've got our like first, you know, in '85, like trying to start a brewery in '85, like the guys at Sprecher and Lakefront did. It's a whole different story. You know, go buy malt as a small brewer back in '85. It's near impossible. So they've just been hustling for that long and churning out great innovative products. And then just, you know, in the past few years, and especially this year, like we got 8 breweries opening up in Milwaukee this year, which I think brings us up to like 18 in the greater Milwaukee area. So, you know, 20 miles north, 20 miles south kind of thing. So these pockets of awesome beer that you see, your Portlands, your Denvers, you know, in big metropolitan areas, this is the year where it's like everybody was, whoa, Milwaukee's way underserved, and a lot of cool breweries opening up. So we got together and formed this group called the Milwaukee Craft Brewery League, and it's been so much fun so far. Every month we do a tap takeover at one of each other's tap rooms, and we'll do like all Milwaukee beers. Come meet the brewers, come meet the owners, and hang out and just talk about beer. So it's been very fun to see this hugely collaborative nature pop up in a really fast manner, like 3 or 4 months. And
so you think it was a good decision to move from Madison to Milwaukee? It's like you get a better crowd in Milwaukee.
I mean, Madison has an awesome beer crowd as well. I mean, like you go to a bar in Madison and they have all Madison beers on tap. So, I mean, I would never discredit being in Madison. The big reason we moved is we looked at like 50 buildings in Madison, and they were either like out in the sticks or, you know, out by Costco and, you know, the soccer mom mentality that's not quite our brewery. So we just struggled to find a place that we could afford to be in. And we thought, why don't we go look at Milwaukee? We had a suggestion from a friend to talk to one of her friends who was a real estate developer, and she showed us a couple buildings. And the first one we looked at was, you know, this building that we're in, right on a really cool intersection where, see, there's one brewery that's 2 blocks down from us, one that's like 6 blocks down, a distillery that's literally on the same roundabout as us, and then the Iron Horse Hotel, which is this really cool boutique hotel, and Harley Davidson Museum is probably 200 yards. So it was just this really cool spot to be with a lot of, you know, great food, great alcohol, and we decided to make the move.
So, for what it's worth, my very first beer was Old Milwaukee. I don't know why I felt the need to say that.
Will Ferrell's favorite beer.
And secondly, you just mentioned being that close to a distiller. That means that you guys are going to have a, you know, pretty good access to barrels, right? Or at least I like to think.
Yeah. We've done. So there's actually 2 distilleries. There's one that's like half a block, and then there's one that's 3 blocks. So we've done beers in both of their barrels, and then we've also done some. We actually made wort for a distillery in Madison, and then they made a smoked whiskey. They did a collaboration where 5 different breweries made the wash, and then they bought the wash, fermented it, distilled it. So we collaborated on that side of things, and then we're gonna put our beer back in that barrel. So there's a lot of really fun, you know.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have so much opportunity to flex your creative juices, and along those lines, Andrew, like, how often is it that you guys get a recipe submitted and you're like, oh my goodness, how am I gonna come up with this? Like, I mean, that has to be a challenge for you every single time you get these recipes, well, these ideas, and you have to translate that to an actual beer recipe. That has to be a challenge, right?
Challenge is the right word, but I don't know that challenge in the fact that it's insurmountable. So, like, a little bit more background is I came about this close to majoring in food science when I was in college. I studied microbiology, should have majored in food science, and I also love to cook. And one of the things I noticed, one of the things I love about this is that, you know, the difference between brewing the beers that we brew and cooking is actually very, very small. You know, I look at it as essentially the same thing. So when I'm presented with a recipe, I'm literally looking at it as a dash of this, a dash of that. Let's try it, and then go from there. So when I'm presented with a recipe, it's not that it's insurmountable. It's all about balance. Balance is critical to any recipe and making, you know, any dish taste good. You know, if you throw 8 pounds of salt into a dish, it's going to be disgusting no matter what you do. So,
or make a steak with sugar, right? It doesn't work. You'd have to make it right.
Yeah. And yeah, it depends. Depends on what kind of sugar you use. I talked to her off for about an hour about the wonders and glories of Maillard browning.
Okay.
Time for that right now.
So that and you know that's a the way you guys approach it. That makes it interesting, right? It's not just you know, every day we come in, we brew beer, we go home, right? You guys get the opportunity to you know, think about this, right, and come up with these awesome ideas. And do you have a? I'm assuming you have a pilot system. No. So you
define pilot system.
5 to 10 gallons.
like maybe a 2-barrel system.
We have a 30-barrel pilot system.
So you guys go for broke, right? Once you make that recipe, you're like, well, only one way to find out.
And so I mean, when you look at a recipe, it's like you can brew a style of beer, right? So if let's just say we got a stout that comes across and somebody wants ghost peppers in it. Then we've got another stout maybe 6 months later and somebody wants raspberries in it. You can look at those flavors that are kind of the adjuncts that we're adding afterwards and switch your recipe up a little bit to cater for that. You know, a little extra sweetness here, a little more bitterness there. So, I mean, in all of the beers that we've made, as far as, you know, they're the first try that we make them, I think we've done like 2 batches that the first ones were just like, that wasn't so good out of 30, 32 or 33. So, you know, a lot of it is like knowing your base recipe, being able to make the tweaks to that you need to, and then move along from there.
Stu, it's taking a big chance always brewing 30 barrels right out of the bat.
Like when you're cooking a dish, you add some pepper to it, and then you taste it, and you're like, this needs more pepper, and then you add a little bit more pepper. You're just adding stuff to taste. It's not really that risky if you do it a certain way.
Right, you did it right.
And that's exactly like cooking in that way.
I mean, you got to know enough about your base process. It's like if you're going to make a baked chicken, you don't like, you know, you got your base process.
If you're going to make a fried turkey, you don't take the frozen turkey and throw it into the boiling oil.
Yeah.
Thaw the turkey first, and then you carefully immerse the turkey in the oil and make sure that nothing surprising happens, right? You're going to have a bad time if you try and throw a frozen turkey into a pot of oil.
So what's the lead time, right, from the time a recipe wins to when you're able to ship it? Because I'm looking at your website and I see now that people can order the beer from January of this year, right? The cherry berry apricot.
It depends. It depends on.
So the beers that are up on the site right now, we've got Black Tart Outlaw, which is sour, aged in oak barrels. It'll be aged in there for like 6 months, and then it's on some fruit. So that beer has been aging for 4 or 5 months already, and it'll come out after it's, you can't really say this barrel-aged beer is going to be done in approximately 7 months, 43 days, and 2 hours.
It'll be done when it's done.
This taste and try. So we leave the beers available for purchase on the site until they're packaged or until they sell out.
Okay. Awesome. So look, you guys have a customer in me. I'm saying the bourbon barrel aged sour. I will be ordering some of that beer. Yeah. Agave syrup. Then after that for April you have an agave syrup aged and tequila barrels. That's the cream ale, the imperial cream ale.
Yep.
Is there any lactose in that beer?
No. In the agave beer, no.
Okay, perfect. Because me and lactose don't get along. And then you have the all malt lager with noble hops. So I mean, my wife is going to hate me for the purchases I'm about to make. Because you guys are about to get a lot of my money.
Let me tell you something exciting. We just launched subscriptions to MobCraft on Father's Day. So we've got it where you can kind of just like sign up and the beer of the month gets shipped over. You don't have to worry about anything.
And how much is that? How much is that a month?
Well, it depends on if you want a 2-pack or a 4-pack.
Okay. And that's all on your website?
Yep.
Sweet. Hey, look. You got a customer for sure. Go ahead, Gil.
No, I was just saying, I see you guys do a lot of crazy stuff, and I was just wondering what was the weirdest thing you've done to date.
Don Durio's Filthy Mustachio.
Yeah. Oh, wow, they know. Say that again.
It's Don Durio's Filthy Mustachio.
Okay.
You have to watch the YouTube video on that one. If you go on our YouTube channel, this was like when we had enough time to have fun. We filmed the whole like narrative story about this. So this is how much fun we have with the people who win the beer. It was this guy named Nick submitted the recipe, and we asked him to write the description for the beer. And instead of like a 2-sentence description we could put on the label, he wrote like a 6-page epic novel of how the beer was created. So we turned that into a movie. It's a horrible, it's not a B-rate movie, it's a C-rate movie, but it's so funny. So anyways, Don Durio, him and his cousin was a brewer, he just likes beer, and his cousin was trying to mess with us because he thought our idea might have been silly or something like that. So he said, put durian in a beer. The world's stinkiest fruit, like rotting flesh, right? So Andrew's genius brain goes, durian? You know what stinks about durian? The sulfur compounds. You know what else is true about sulfur? It has a really low boiling point. So he brought that up to like 180. It volatilized off all of that sulfur stink. I mean, the brewery smelled like an egg bomb went off, but it left the stink behind, and it just carried this tropical mango custard through the beer. And it was on a Pilsner base, which you got a little bit of a sulfur kick out of that Pilsner anyways. So it just fit perfectly. And then there was cashews in it too, which that was just interesting.
Yeah.
So that beer, you know, if somebody says a durian beer, nobody else has ever brewed a durian beer before. But it's seriously been one of my favorites too, because it's just like crisp, clean, and then you get this like tropical mango durian flavor.
Wow, I'm so intrigued right now. I'm kind of mad that that's not one of the options that I can try right now, because I've never had durian, but I've seen many a reaction from durian thanks to the Food Network and Travel Channel.
Yeah. You have to watch the video because there's some durian vomit going on in there too.
I may not be as excited as Randy though.
I'd try it. I don't care.
Of the fruit world.
Well, look. Do you guys have anything coming out that you wanna make people aware of, and do you have any festivals come up that you guys are gonna be pouring at before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean we're going to Burning Foot over on I think it's Pier de Marquette. There's a festival that goes on in Michigan. It's on the beach. It's super fun. It's the Great Lakes Brewers Guild that puts it on, and if your members are like all the breweries that are touching counties around the Great Lakes. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But I think, you know, my favorite part that we just did was the subscriptions. I mean, it's been, you know, it was a long time coming to make that happen and figure out all the legal channels of it and get that rolling. But, you know, crazy crowdsourced beer of the month shipped to your door. That's, you know, super exciting. And then, of course, this facility. So if anybody's ever in the Milwaukee area, you know, we got this awesome brewery, got this tap room that's going to open up soon.
Any specific beers on deck that you guys want to talk about, or just the all malt lager with noble hops that's available right now? That's the latest one you did, right?
So Adam, our brewer, wants to do a beer that I'm really excited about. He wants to do a Imperial Saison aged in barrels with peaches thrown into the barrels.
Why not?
So that's one that I'm really excited for. And then we're going to be doing a lot of Brett Pale Ales and Brett IPAs, I think, is the plan when we start up and running. So I'm pretty excited about those.
Okay. Me too.
And the tap room is going to be BYO, or are you're planning food anytime soon, or just food truck?
We've got food trucks that are parking outside. We have a space in the brewery that we kind of stubbed out to be a restaurant, so we're looking for somebody to partner up with us and do a wood-fired pizza oven in there or something, you know, similar. It's not really big enough to be a full-service restaurant, but you can definitely crank some food out of it. So we want to, you know, co-brand the tap room, find somebody who makes awesome food and can kind of join us in coming up with all the fun items.
Maybe I should move to Wisconsin.
Yep.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And my last question is, so your beer, the only beer that's for that's eligible to be shipped, is it just your MobCraft beers, or is it?
Yep, just the MobCrafted crowdsourced beers.
Okay, I was struggling with how to say that. I was like, the MobCraft beer, the MobCrafted. Okay, so the MobCraft source, what you just said. Yeah, the crowdsourced beer. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, look, guys, we appreciate your time tonight. You know, like I said earlier, you have a customer in me. I'm probably gonna be ordering some beer from you guys either tonight or tomorrow, because I am mad that I missed the Laughing Clown chocolate stout. I'm sure that was
good one.
I'm sure that was awesome.
We can probably find those in the back and get them your way.
Duly not. All right, so people who are listening, put your fingers in your ear. You didn't hear that. So nonetheless, guys, we really appreciate your time, man. You guys, I love the approach that you guys have taken. It says something about paying homage and giving appreciation to your fans, the people who come and buy your beer and make you successful. You give them an opportunity to pitch a great idea that they may have to you, and you actually brew their beer. So I mean, that's getting the customers involved in a at a level other than just drinking the beer is always fun. I love the idea, and I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck. And I think that
Same here. Same here.
So be sure to join us next week, guys. I cannot remember who we have on next week, but
us again.
you guys have an open invitation. You can come back anytime.
You can just pop in, let us know. We love people to come in and talk. So.
All right.
So be sure to join us next week. Be looking out for something going out from us, whether it be Twitter or Google Plus when we announce
it's Carton Brewing.
Oh, that is right. Augie Carton from Carton Brewing out of New Jersey is going to be with us next week. So that should be a lot of fun. He has a really cool podcast that's really cool to listen to. So once again, thank you guys, and ladies and gentlemen, until next week, find some great friends, find some great beer, and mind those P's and Q's.
Cheers, everybody.